Tubies, it's Psychic Bob. It's so great to be with you guys again. Well, you guys are wonderful. I want to say thank you to all of you who came up to yesterday's video. We had a wonderful time. It was Zodiac Thursday, and that was a lot of fun. If you didn't get to see that, check it out. It's in the queue right before this video. We talk about the transits yesterday, but we also talk about today's transits and through the weekend. So you definitely want to check that out. Well, here we are, it's Friday, and I said we'd talk about setting a Halloween altar or a Samhain altar. The popular culture calls it Halloween here in the United States, and we of the Wicca call it Samhain. Either way, to me, it's a wonderful time of year. And I thought we'd just spend a minute talking a little bit about what this Sabbath is, and then we'll talk about how to set up a little altar for it. So behind me here, you can see we've got our big zodiac wheel. In fact, let me just raise this up a little bit here. And, we've been going around the wheel here. And our last holiday was back in September. September 21st was Maybalm. And that was the second harvest festival. We are in what is known as the dark half of the year. So from the summer solstice down here at the bottom, which is right below, but it's Litha, from here we enter to Lammas. So the three harvest festivals of the autumn are Lammas, Maybalm, which we just had, and the one coming up on October 31st is Samhain. Samhain is the final harvest. This is where our Lord, the Horned Lord, the lover of the goddess, actually dies. He dies at Samhain and goes back to the spirit world where he awaits reincarnation and rebirth. And we know at Yule, the Lord again will be born of the goddess and will start the whole cycle of the wheel of the year again. So this is our last kind of big hurrah for the wheel of the year before Yule. And Samhain is actually a sacred time. Now, Hollywood wants to make it that the witches use this time. This Samhain is a time of evil and curses and all that. No, it's not. It really is not about that. What Samhain is where we pause to remember all that has occurred over the year. And we let go of things that no longer serve us. We celebrate also those who have gone before to the world of spirit, our deceased loved ones, our friends. And so as the Lord passes from the earth, we also remember those who accompany him on his journey to the spirit world, which are our deceased loved ones and friends. So this is a wonderful spiritual holiday. Now, the Christians started November 1st as All Souls Day, and that's when the Catholic Church and the Christian community honors all the dead. This Halloween came from the term All Hallows Eve, meaning the day before the holy day, to honor all souls. So this is where our Halloween tradition comes from. And they combined modern day Halloween with the Catholic All Souls and mixed it in with the Druidic, festival of remembrance of the dead and the passing of the Horned Lord. So we have kind of a conglomeration, a mix of all of that in Halloween. And for the Wiccans, Samhain, as I said, is a very sacred time. This is, as I said, this is the third harvest festival. This is where we finally see that the crops are pretty much done, and the last harvest is gathered, the last corn is taken, and then the final plant material that remains is oftentimes burned on farm communities. And it's a time to celebrate the end of the growing season before we enter into the cold cycle where the goddess is alone. See, Samhain for the goddess is a time of mixed blessing. It's a time of sorrow, for the goddess knows that she has to let the Lord go. At the same time, she knows that the Lord is actually already within her belly and is going to be reborn. So in the craft, we talk about the shifting energies of the Lord from lover to child. Now, this is not incest. This is symbolic. And it represents the cycles of life, that we are all born, that we all mature. You see, the first half of the year, as we've said, starting from Yule down to the middle here, down to summer solstice, this is what is known as the light half of the year. This is where the Lord is born. He grows, matures, falls in love with the goddess, begins his life with her. At Litha, the Lord, it is his height and power. And then we enter into the period we're in now, which are the dark half of the year, where the Lord has had his time of glory and his power starts to fade. And as we get to Samhain, at least here in the northern hemisphere of the earth, we now notice that the days are becoming noticeably much, much shorter. Darkness is creeping in. And the energy of the sun seems to be waning and growing weaker. And we notice that the sun is further south in the sky, doesn't rise as high, is not as bright. So the Lord's power is fading. And at Samhain, we believe that the Lord then leaves the earth. And this is what accounts for winter, because as the Lord leaves, everything falls into decay. It's believed that the Lord's power brings life to all the planet and all the plants, and without him, everything withers. The goddess at this time goes into her mourning period, where she's sad and sorrowful, and this also is another reason why they say the leaves all die. The goddess's grief allows everything to enter into decay. So the life force of the Lord and the Lady during the fall and the winter, we realize what their presence means and how if they withdrew their love from the earth, everything would vanish. Life would cease to exist. So as Wiccans, we honor that life force that the gods bring to the earth. And so that's what Samhain's about. It's a time for us to grieve the Lord's passing, but know that he will soon come again. And we remember all those who we have loved, who have gone before, to the spiritual world, and that they are available. And at Samhain, it's said that the veil between the worlds is very thin, and people can come and greet us. I like to celebrate the spirit world at this time of year, because I do believe the veil is thin, and I can feel the presence of many of those on the other side. And I bet a lot of you can. You know, it's interesting because sometimes at this time of year, people that are not even psychic will say, "Wow, Bob, I swear I had a visitation. Somebody appeared in my room the other night." And you know what? That's not crazy. It actually happens. So this time of year, here we are at Samhain. So let's embrace this mystical time. Let's reflect on those we love. One of the ways you can do that is to set a little altar, a shrine, to celebrate the season of Samhain. So I'm going to do that today. So come on along. So as you can see, here is our altar. I keep my Sabbat altar here with the Sabbat wheel. And I've taken everything off of it except for this green cloth. But you don't have to have a green cloth. This is just something I had down. And it kind of is one of the permanent elements of my altar. But since it's now Samhain, I wanted to do something different. So I looked around my house and I found this beautiful old tapestry from India. And the wonderful thing is it's made of the colors orange and black, which are the traditional Samhain/Halloween colors. So I've dug this out, and I'm going to just put this as our base cloth on our altar here. So there you can see we've got this beautiful black and green cloth down. Now you can see it goes down to the floor here. But it's beautiful. It very much autumnal colors. It's got some brown in it and black and orange. And I think it's really appropriate for this time of year. So what's another element that we want to add? Well, this year I was thinking about a Latin tradition. We have a lot of Mexican people where I live, and many of my Mexican friends love the folk saint out of Mexico, Santa Muerte. And Santa Muerte translates as Saint Death or Holy Death. And it's believed that Santa Muerte is actually connected to an ancient Aztec goddess who was the goddess of death in the Aztec culture. And throughout Mexico, Santa Muerte is honored. Now, Santa Muerte looks a little intense. In fact, let me put her picture up here for you. So as you can see, Santa Muerte looks a little scary, looks very much like the Grim Reaper. And in fact, when I first saw Santa Muerte, I thought Santa Muerte was a male, was the Grim Reaper, but actually Santa Muerte is a female and is believed to be the crone aspect of the goddess. So you could think of her as a New World crone goddess. That's right. So don't be afraid of Santa Muerte, because Santa Muerte only takes a fierce form to protect her devotees. Many people in Mexico pray to Santa Muerte when they feel threatened. They feel like, oh, somebody's going to steal my house from me, somebody's out to attack me. They pray to Santa Muerte, and many people testify that Santa Muerte has kept them safe. So I decided this year to add Santa Muerte to my altar. So let me show you my Santa Muerte. And here is my Santa Muerte. Isn't she beautiful in her black robes, her skeleton form? Now, despite the fact that she looks scary, don't worry, she's our protector, our protectress. So I decided we're going to put her up here. And this one hangs, so I've got a little tack up here in the wall. And I'm just hanging her up here. So there you go. So there is our Santa Muerte. Now I'll probably have to do a whole nother video on Santa Muerte, because some of you are going to write and say, well, Bob, I thought Santa Muerte wore white, or I thought she wore red. The fact is, Santa Muerte has many aspects. And this time, because we're at the Feast of Samhain, it deals with literally death and crossing to the spirit world, I decided to use black. But Santa Muerte does come in different colors. They're all Santa Muerte, just different aspects. But for now, we're going to have Santa Muerte on our altar. What else do we want to add to our altar? Well, one of the things I think we should add would be a candle. Black and orange candles are traditional. I don't have any orange candles today, but I did find my black Santa Muerte candle. Isn't that great? And so I'm going to add her to this. So we're going to have our black candle here on the altar. And then I thought, well, what else could I add to the altar? Well, how about a pumpkin? Now, you know what? I will eventually get a real pumpkin, and I think we will have a pumpkin carving on here to show you guys. But for today, I have a plastic pumpkin. But you know what's really neat is, back when I was a kid, I inherited one of these pumpkins from my older brothers who had theirs since the 1960s. I bought this one last year. And look, it is, I can tell you, it is the exact same style that was around in the 60s. They have not changed it one bit. So it's so cool to see something that's been around over 50 years, and they're still making it in the exact same way, same plastic. It's a classic. It's part of Halloween. So I had to have this pumpkin. So I got it, and it's going to be here on my altar as well. Now, you know, one of the other great symbols of Samhain is the cauldron. So, look what I just got. This is my new cauldron. And I recently acquired this. I just love it. So, I'm going to have my cauldron here on the altar as well. So, I've got my cauldron here on the altar as well. Isn't this beautiful? It's made of stainless steel and, or cast iron, excuse me, cast iron. And it's real iron. If you like this and want to get one, you should pop over to Lady Angela's site at rarewiccaspells.com. She sells these cauldrons over there. So now I have all of these elements, and you know, I'm probably going to add more on. We still have about 10 days till Halloween / Samhain. But this is the beginning. I got a beautiful altar cloth We've got our figure of Santa Muerte. We've got our jack-o'-lantern, black candle, and a beautiful cauldron. And I think this makes a wonderful Samhain altar because we're honoring all the traditions. We're honoring the passing of the spirit. See, Santa Muerte represents all that have died and gone before. So this is to honor all of our deceased friends, loved ones, spirit guides, everybody in spirit. And Santa Muerte is a powerful protector. And as the nights get dark, some people get scared of the dark. You can call on Santa Muerte for powerful protection. And we've got our beautiful jack-o'-lantern here. This cauldron will be wonderful because what I like to do when I have full moon rituals or Sabbats is I like to write down things that I request from Spirit. And I light them and I burn them in this. And I also write and give thanks for things that I love and I want to say thank you for, and I write those down and I burn those as well. And I offer that up. And as that burn, the smoke rises, it's literally your prayers rising into the spirit world. So this is one of the ways you can use the cauldron. Now, some people like to use the cauldron also for water scrying. And I have a previous video on water scrying, which I'll put a link below for that. But that's another way you can use your cauldron. So, you know, cauldron is a traditional witch tool, and I think it's wonderful at Samhain time. Now, you don't have to set your altar like I do. You can do any way you want. So you could have any other thing you want. Like, for example, you might want to have cats on your altar, black cats or bats on your altar. That would be fun. You could have witches on your altar. Actually, I have some little witches. I think I'll add those in too in the coming days. You know, if you like to work with herbs, I've seen people take the herb. It's called star anise. And they string them on a string and drape them around their altar. They're very festive. They use those for Christmas time or Yule as well. But I think they're wonderful for Halloween. They're very mystical herb. So really the sky's the limit. And, you know, I like to say every time I look at my Yule altar or Sabbath altar, or like in this case, Samhain altar, I'll say it's a work in progress because we've started it. But I tell you, as the month evolves, I'm going to add more to it, change around. I might add some lights to it and some strings of star anise and some more candles. So, you know, we got a lot more work to do. But I wanted just to come here today to introduce you to the concept of having a Sabbath altar, a Samhain/Halloween altar. So you might want to think about this. It's a wonderful way to bring the spiritual element of this season into your home. It'll help you feel in tune with the spirit. And besides that, it's just a lot of fun. You know, so I like to tell people, have fun with your Samhain altar. Yes, it is a sacred day, but you remember the goddess says all things with mirth and reverence. So you can have fun, and it's not at all disrespectful. It's very much in tune with the spirit. So anyways, tell me in the box below, do you have a Samhain altar or a Halloween altar? What's yours like? Maybe you want to do a video response to this and show us your altar. Wouldn't that be fun? All right. So guys, listen. Tell me in the box below, have you ever set a Samhain altar? Or maybe you're thinking about doing one this year. I'd love to hear about that. Tell me if you're thinking about doing one. And I hope that you'll, take the time to like this video, favorite, share it with your friends, and let's get out the word about Spirit Channel. I am so glad you guys are here. You rock. Keep it here. By the way, if you haven't done so, hit subscribe. Be part of our channel. We'd love you to be here. Well, guys, you rock. Listen, keep it here. Tomorrow is Saturday. You know what that means? Saturday night seance, so you don't want to miss it. I'm sure glad you're here. And as we evolve this altar, we'll have more videos about it. Thanks for being here. I hope this gets you started on something great and fun and mystical. Have a blessed day. And as I always say, may you always blessed be.